So John Fury was featured in IFL today. He was interviewed by Cook and Cassius, and John Fury interviews in IFL. They're always fun. All right, he's a fiery character. He's a character, John Fury, and the interviews he has on IFL. If you just go back and watch some of them are gold. Some of them really are gold. He's doing call outs to other fighters. He's going in on fighters. Eddie Hearn, John Fury is just gold when you watch him in IFL, because he really just doesn't give a you-know-what. He just lets rip and just goes. And again, he's done something in this interview. Now, in this interview, he was on about Deontay Wilder and obviously his son Tommy. He's happy with how Tommy's been progressing. He says Ricky Hatton's very impressed with him, etc., etc., etc. Tommy Fury is still very young in his career. He's very young in general. So, Tommy Fury, we still aren't really kind of 100% sure where he's at, really. Does he want to be a celebrity as well? Because I think he definitely needs to be enjoying the limelight that Love Island gave him. All right. He also had his say on Deontay Wilder. When Coogan asked him, he beat Stiverne for the title. He said he was very funny because he was saying like Stiverne's feet were planted to the ground, he couldn't move, and called him a Teletubby. And Stiverne, it's fair to say, he was one of the weaker heavyweight champions in history. I think that's very fair to say. I think his best win was Chris Arreola, and he done well to stay in that fight for the 12 rounds, but he was never the same after that. And, where did he go after that? He got knocked out in a round by Wilder, stopped by Joyce. So, Stiverne, definitely a weak heavyweight champion. But, what I want to talk about in this video is what John Fury's had to say on Dana White, okay? Because Dana White basically has had his say on Tyson Fury, saying he'd be interested to get into UFC. And, Dana White obviously kind of shut that down, as he does, and, had his say. And John Fury, of course, had his say on this. Now, the comments that Dana White made were that Tyson Fury would get smashed in the UFC. And this is what John Fury had to say. Of course he said this: "I could probably smash Dana White with one punch. How can he write my son off like that? Let him talk to me like that. I'll fight him. Keep my son's name out of your mouth." And you can picture the voice John Fury did that in, and you can picture the kind of, volume of his voice when he said that. The thing is, you see fighters, managers, etc., say certain things like that without meaning it. John Fury is one of those guys where if Dana White did say something like that, say, Tyson Fury gets smashed in UFC to John Fury's face, John Fury's not kidding when he says he'd go for Dana White, or he'd punch Dana, or he'd go straight for Dana White. He would. Look at John Fury when Deontay Wilder was in Belfast and he interrupted that press conference. Deontay Wilder actually thought it was a joke. It's still on IFL. When John Fury was saying, shut up to Wilder, he put the hand out, just smiling, joking. He was almost thinking it was a joke. But John Fury was serious. I was roaring at him, you can't beat me. The security had to get involved. So John Fury is one of those guys where it's serious with him. When he says things like that, some people just laugh and say, he's blowing smoke up his ass. No, man's serious. And my man is serious. He's not playing around. John Fury, when he goes and says these certain things, my man's not playing. And John Fury, he's funny. Do I think I said this, I done a live stream the other night, and I actually said that maybe not someone as fiery as John Fury, but somebody with, kind of characteristics of John Fury, a fiery character, would be good for Huey. Because that's what Huey needs as opposed to Tyson. Tyson doesn't need someone as fiery as John Fury. Like, I know obviously John Fury's not the corner man, but in that team in general, because that man, I swear, I'd love to see actually someone really just decide, what the hell with it, I'll criticise Tyson to John's face and just see what he did, if it was on an interview or if it was on IFL. Man, I'd go hit the roof. Seriously, that's the kind of guy he is. He's funny. I don't even think he means to be funny, but when you watch John Fury, you just can't help but laugh, because you actually almost think, like, yeah, this guy's serious. This guy really will go for someone if you say something to him the wrong way. Man's serious. That's one thing about him. That's what I kind of like about John Fury. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Tyson Fury saying he's fighting UFC, is it just blowing, a bit of smoke up people's arse? I think it could be. I think Tyson Fury is set for the Wilder rematch, or whatever he does after that, who knows. But I do think, as Tyson Fury said himself, we're nearing kind of the end of the Fury career. I don't think he's got that many fights left in him. So, one thing I'll miss is John Fury, because he is just valuable. Well, hopefully Tommy Fury is somewhat as good. Maybe not as controversial, but somewhat as good. We can still see him around, because I think John Fury is just hilarious. So those are my thoughts on this. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you did. Please leave a like, subscribe for new. And as always, I will talk to you after.